everyone, especially to our senior high school students. Welcome to Creative Nonfiction class with me, Teacher Madel. Our topic for today is about the literary elements.
All right, let us start with the learning competencies based on MELCs. First, we are going to analyze the theme and techniques used in a particular text. Second, we are going to create samples of the different literary elements based on one's experience. And of course, for our learning targets. At the end of the session, you are going to distinguish the conventions of traditional genres. You are going to identify elements of the different genres and clearly and coherently uses a chosen element conventionally identified with the genre for a written output. Before we will go further, I would like you to answer the pre-test that I was preparing for you. Are you ready? Let's start. Number 1. It is a technique of presenting and revealing the character. A. Character. B. Characterization. C. Plot. D. Theme. All right, very good. Characterization, letter B. Which of the following element of fiction provides the story a sense of continuity, speed or pace, and thematic focus? A. Character. B. Characterization. C. Plot. D. Theme. And the answer is plot. Very good. 3. Which of the following can show, tell, and assume the setting of the story? A. Clothing and object. B. Peace and love. C. Beauty and the answer is letter A. Clothing and object. Number 4. How does the theme helps the readers to understand life and human condition in the story? A. Circumstances encountered. B. Characters' experiences. C. Thoughts and behavior. D. All of the above. The answer for number 4 is letter D. Amazing. Which of the following elements of fiction that the narrator of the story expresses the position from which the story reveals? A. Character. B. Plot. C. Points of view. D. Theme. The answer for number 5 is letter C. Correct. I hope you got the 5 correct answers. Congratulations! Let's have a review on the definition of fiction. When we say fiction, it refers to a literary work which comes from the author's imagination. Through the fictional narrative, a writer may inform, entertain, inspire, or even persuade. So these are the 4 purposes in writing fiction. When we say fiction, it is not true. It is just a product of the writer's imagination. Are you familiar with this man? He is a French author named Victor Hugo. Hugo is pronounced as Hugo. Victor Hugo. He is a famous author with his work Les Miserables. In the previous lessons, we briefly discussed some basic facts about writing fiction and its elements. In most cases, the real world provides the words that constitute fiction. French author Victor Hugo noticed the Greek word for fate carved on a little nook of the Notre Dame Cathedral. A tormented soul must have engraved this word according to him. Well, it's just about his imagination. And that one word found by Hugo led him to write The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1831. So, intentions clarifies the focal point of the writer's story idea, while the purpose clarifies the reasons behind the writer's intention. So, if your stated intention and purpose serve as the compass, it will give you direction, your internal and mental guide when you are going to write. Fiction and its literary elements. First, we have the character. Character and characterization are the people involved in writing fiction. Character is an imaginary person, while characterization is the technique of presenting and revealing the character. Mostly the short story requires focusing on a single quality of the character. In a novel, many aspects of the character can be explored. You can have many characters as you wish. And let's just make sure that even it's fictional, it must feel authentic and credible. How does the character can be sketched? 1. By profiling. 2. By knowing character's form, social background, physical appearance, emotional traits, likes, dislikes, interest in life, or problem. The second literary element in fiction is setting. It answers the questions where and when. Answers to these questions give rise to the two types of setting, the physical and the chronological setting. Physical is where the story takes place, while chronological refers to the date and time the story happens. Aside from the chronological and physical setting, it also includes the following. A. The immediate surroundings of the characters, such as props in a scene, trees, furniture, food, inside of a house or car, etc. B. The weather, such as cloudy, sunny, windy, snow, or rain, and many others. And letter C, the geographical location, including the city, state, country, and possibly even the universe if the writer is writing science fiction. Next is plot. As we know, plot is the order or sequence of events in the story. Writers usually follow a particular plot structure called Freytag's pyramid. Although this is not always the case, as some may opt to start from the middle part. That's what they call as in medias res, in the middle of. Okay. Or the ending part and go backwards to where the events began. So it's how they play with the events in the story. Okay. All right. I introduced to you the Freytag's pyramid. So as you have known already in your junior high school, Freytag's pyramid is named after the German playwright of the 1800s, Gustav Freytag, and has the five-part plot structure, which includes, the exposition, the rising action, the climax, what else? Falling action, and denouement. The denouement or the resolution. When we say exposition, it introduces the characters, time, and the problem of the story. And of course, it usually occurs at the start of the story up to the point where an inciting incident happens for the main character to handle or solve. The exposition creates the beginning of the story. Next is the rising action. Okay, the rising action includes the happenings that the main character encounters. As each event develops, more complications arise, making the problem more complex for the character. So the conflict is where in this part happens. Okay, next is climax. Okay, climax. It refers to the turning point. The turning point in the story. This is usually a single event with the greatest intensity and uncertainty. Here, the main character contends with the problem, hence creating the peak of interest for the readers. So that's the time that most of the readers don't want to put down their books. Okay. Next is the falling action. The falling action here is where the events unfold after the climax. The resulting events after the climax create an emotional response from the reader. Finally, we have the denouement or the resolution. Okay, so this is the fifth one. It provides closure and ties up loose ends in the story. So some may have the happy ending. Okay, just like what girls usually like, but some authors also have their different resolution. So it depends how they end up their story, how they provide closure. Okay, at the end of the story. Okay. Next is point of view. Point of view. We have three points of view. Okay. First person point of view, then second person point of view, and the third person point of view. So it's just easy to identify among the three. When we say first person, you can always see that in the narrations using I, me, my, we, and our. So these personal pronouns can be really seen there. It means that the story is told from the viewpoint of one of the characters who may be the protagonist or main character in the narrative. So by using this point of view, the readers may feel an affinity and empathy for the narrator, as the narration can include the narrator's motives, thoughts, and feelings. Okay. On the other hand, it can be limited, as it cannot say for certain other characters' thoughts, feelings, and motives. Okay. For the second one is the second person point of view, and the personal pronoun that is being used are to you and your. Okay, so well, it's just the thing is, it is seldom used and speaks to the reader as if the reader is the protagonist. At other times, the narrator may use apostrophe, a figurative language where the speaker talks to an absent or unidentified person. The second person pronouns, do not forget, is you and your. Okay, just remember that one. The third one is the third person point of view that is classified into third person limited and third person omniscient. When we say omniscient, it means all-knowing. And this means that the narrator knows most of the characters in the story. And the personal pronouns that are used here, we have he, she, it, and they. Okay. For these both types of view, the narrator is not a character nor in the story. Take note. In third person limited, the narrator is limited only to one of the character's thoughts. One. Okay? So that's why it is called limited. While in third person omniscient, the narrator is all-knowing, meaning he knows all the characters, all-seeing, no? All-knowing and all-seeing, and knows various characters' thoughts. This view uses third person, as I said, like he, she, it, and they. Do not forget. Okay, that's it. Letter E is theme. The underlying truth conveyed by the author through the story. It is usually universal, which means that they are understood by readers across cultures, eras, or nationalities. Some common themes include love, coming of age, circle of life, prejudice, greed, good versus evil, and beating the odds. We are now on the elements of poetry. The next genre is poetry. The first element is rhyme. This is the easiest feature to identify in a poem. If you can find the last word in the first line of poetry rhymes with the last word in the second line, so you can identify easily a pattern. Well, it does not depend upon spelling, but it is a matter of sound or pronunciation. Example, gold, hold. Number two is rhyme scheme. When you can identify a repeating pattern of similar sounding words at the ends of the lines, then you have a rhyme scheme. Some writer or poets simply assign a letter of the alphabet starting with A, of course, to each word at the end of a line of poetry. Rhyming words are given the same letter. So just like gold, hold, that's letter A. If you use gold in the first line and the second line, you have the last word hold. So you have gold, hold. So the poet assigned that rhyme scheme as A. And the next rhyme scheme would be B, then C, or D. Some interchange that to AB, CD. Number three is rhythm or meter. It is a slightly more difficult aspect of poetry for some students. There is a natural rise and fall in our language. We stress certain syllables and words more than others in order to emphasize meaning. In poetry, these patterns of stressed and unstressed syllables or words form a rhythm or meter. There is a name for each of the common patterns, like iamb or iambic pentameter, for example. In your study of poetry, it is not necessary to memorize and agonize over this list of terms. They are presented here merely for your information and as a starting point in understanding the rhythm of poetry. Let's practice. Can you tell what narrative element is highlighted in the following excerpts? Number 1. He thought about Marian. She had left him 9 years ago after 5 years of marriage. He was 52 now. That would make her just under 40. Marian had dreams of becoming a musician, a folk singer. By Robert James Waller, The Bridges of Madison County. You're right. The narrative element highlighted in this excerpt is character or characterization. I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't afraid. I don't want to die. And thanks to my parents, my mother lived to 96. I long assumed that I was genetically capable of growing even older than I already am. Until a few months ago, I fully believed I had half a dozen good years left. Well, maybe not good years. That's not the way it works at my age. I've been disintegrating for a while now. Heart, joints, kidneys, bits and pieces of my body beginning to give up the ghost. But recently, something else has been added to the mix. Growths in my lungs, the doctor said. Tumors, cancer. My time is measured in months now, not years. But even so, I'm not ready to die just yet. Not today. There is something I have to do. something I have done every year since 1956. A grand tradition is coming to an end, and more than anything, I wanted one last chance to say goodbye. By Nicholas Sparks, The Longest Ride. The answer is for this is plot. Number 3. At Kalispell, Montana, he stopped for the night late. The cozy inn looked inexpensive and was. What do you think is the answer? Setting. Very good. Let's move to task 2. We're going to read the following selection, then identify the narrative elements present in the text. I would like you to write your answers in your notebook, and let's check that after our readings.
Ares the ram. Athamas, the legendary king of Thessaly, had 2 children, Phrixus and Helle. He had remarried, and Ino, the children's stepmother, began to treat them very badly. They were treated so cruelly that Hermes took pity on them and sent a magical ram to take them away and escape their stepmother's wrath. Mounted on the ram's back, the children flew over land and sea to the east. Unfortunately, Hell failed to get a good hold on the fleece of the ram, and as they flew over the strait that separates Europe and Asia, she fell off and was drowned in the sea far below. That sea is called Hellespont to this day in honor of her memory. Phrixus landed safely at Colchis, which is on the edge of the Black Sea. In gratitude for his safe deliverance, Phrixus sacrificed the ram and gave its golden fleece to the king of that country. In honor of the ram's great sacrifice in saving the children, Zeus placed the ram's constellation, Eris, in the night sky.
Well, are you done answering? Are you done identifying the narrative elements present in the text of the story Ares the Ram? So I hope you are able to find the characters, the setting, the conflict, the point of view, and the theme. Are you ready? Let's check your answers. Okay, the characters, we have Athamas, the king, Phrixus and Helle, the children. I know the stepmother, Hermes, he's the god's messenger, and Ares the ram. Setting. Okay, for setting, we have Thessaly, the strait that separates Europe and Asia, and Colchis. For the conflict, we have the stepmother maltreated the 2 children. Okay, do not forget to check honestly your notebook, your answers on your notebook. Number 4, point of view. Okay, the point of view is third person omniscient. Very good. And the last one, the theme is good versus evil. Okay. Do you have perfect answers? Well, very good. Congratulations. Now let's start with our post-test. Number 1. The position of the narrator in relationship to the plot of a piece of literature is A. Character, B. Plot, C. Points of view, D. Theme. So what is the answer? Letter D. Very good. Number 2. In writing fiction, what clarifies the focal point of the writer's story idea? A. Intention, B. Purpose, C. Mood, D. Tone. What do you think is the answer? Okay, very good. Letter A. Intention. Number 3. The manner which the writer uses words in characterizing a person or describing an event in the story. A. Plot, B. Style, C. Setting, D. Theme. The answer For number 3 is letter B. It is a style. Number 4. Which part in the pyramid the tensions fall as the complications are straightened out and conflict is finally resolved? A. Climax. B. Falling action. C. Rising action. D. All of the above. The answer is falling action. Amazing. I know you've got the correct answer. It's just really easy. Next. Number 5. In poetry, it is the easiest feature to identify in a poem. What can that be? A. Rhyme. B. Rhythm. C. Stanza. D. Rhyme scheme. The answer for number 5 is, of course, rhyme. Very good. I hope you got 5 correct answers. If you did, congratulations. Students, do not forget your assignment. Here is the direction. Characterize an ideal mother that will be a part of a play. This mother may be your own mother or the mother of your relative or friend. You may use a biodata so that the characterization is clear. Write your answer in your notebook. Okay, do not forget. To rate your work, here is the rubric. 5. Correct usage of language grammar. Clear characterization as regards to the mother's attitude, thoughts, and actions. Localization of character. 3 points for minor errors on the use of language, grammar, clear characterization as regards to the mother's attitude, thoughts, and actions, localization of character. And 1 point for major errors on the use of language or grammar and clear characterization as regards to the mother's attitude, thoughts, and actions, localization of character. So make sure to write properly, use correct use of language so that you'll get good points. That's all. I hope you understand, and if you have questions, you can contact me through Messenger, the easiest way to have communication. Thank you for watching.